What's up, friends? I am a tattoo artist based out of Mesa, Arizona at Magic Rabbit Tattoo, and I've been getting questions a lot regarding SPF and just, the timing of when we should be using that post tattoo, all these things. So, I figured why not just make an educational post about it? And that way, this is widely available to anyone else who might be on their tattoo journey and having similar questions. So, firstly, when your tattoo is in the process of healing, it's better to actually let your tattoo fully heal before we begin applying SPF. Oftentimes, SPF is going to be like a physical barrier using zinc, or it's going to be a chemical reactant barrier. So there's two types of SPFs, right? And pigments in tattoo inks are also created from metals. So to avoid any kind of reaction, it's actually best to let the tattoo pigment fully settle into the skin before we begin incorporating SPF directly over the tattoo. So, if there's ever a time where maybe, let's say, you're still in that healing period, that's where I honestly suggest for a tattoo to just use a UV sleeve. And you likely will get a bit sweaty under that UV sleeve. So, just to keep in mind to try to immediately cleanse the skin as soon as you can after you've been exposed to the sun and enjoyed your time outside. And, it's summertime. I want people to enjoy the summer. I want people to enjoy the sun. I'm someone who is a firm believer, like, even with my background as an esthetician, like, we need the sun. Our bodies need vitamin D. Like, I'm never going to be that person that says, like, no, be in the sun. No, everything in moderation, right? So, even after your tattoo is completely healed, just be mindful of your sun exposure and keeping the skin protected. And on the topic of keeping sun exposure in moderation, here's the reason why. The sun is so powerful that its UV rays are essentially working like a laser. And when we look at the way laser treatments work to get rid of tattoos, the way that it works is it's penetrating through those pigment particles. It's breaking down the pigment particles to really tiny little bits, and those then get absorbed through the lymphatic system and into our body. So, the sun exposure works in a very similar way. And so, yes, if you want to keep your tattoos looking vibrant, keep the sun exposure to a moderate level and always protect your skin with SPF. So now your next question might be, okay, well, what type of SPF should I be purchasing? There's so many out there on the market. I strongly encourage using the app Yucca. It's one of my absolute favorite apps to use, especially as a licensed esthetician and having that background. I'm very conscious about what exactly am I putting onto my skin, because everything that we put onto our skin is in some capacity absorbed into the body. So using the app Yucca, you can scan the barcode and it will pull up the entire ingredient list and give you a breakdown on exactly what each ingredient is doing. And it'll also provide you a score on how clean the product actually is. And there's a lot of debate about, what SPF number should you actually be using. And truthfully, from what I learned in school as an esthetician, honestly, going anything higher than an SPF 30 isn't really going to change much of its efficacy. So, honestly, like, getting an SPF 50 is pretty much just a sales tactic, and you're just getting charged more for a product that's pretty much doing the same thing as an SPF 30. Now, when we started to really look at American made brands versus Korean brands, I'll be so for real. Korean SPF is definitely where it's at. Obviously, still making sure that you're checking into the ingredient list and making sure that everything's clean. However, Korean skincare has a much farther advanced technology in their UV filters that they have in their skin products. And the reason why is because in the United States, SPF is actually regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. So it takes a much longer process to actually create technologies in the SPF products because it's being regulated by such a huge agency whereas Korean skincare is much more privatized. There's companies that are able to do their own research and create their own studies and modify those ingredients and those UV filters at a much faster pace than we can in the United States. So, that's some of my educational content there regarding protecting your tattoos and how to do that. And I do have some words to say about using self tanner as well, but I'm going to make a separate video to go into detail about why you should avoid using self tanner, especially before your tattoo, and also avoiding to use self tanner while your skin is healing. And I'll make that video, as I said, another day. But for today, we'll keep our focus on the SPF.